If you at times try to sneak an extra carry-on on board and Vueling is in your future, you might want to watch this. Hi there, my name is Kevin and I make honest and to the point, narrated trip reports about flights and hotels all over the world. This short and sweet Vueling session to Ibiza is video number 123 and also the 23rd airline that I've reviewed on the channel, just this year alone. Stay tuned for the full report. Welcome to Barcelona's Prat International Airport, where I already was despite my efforts to fool you into thinking that I stayed at the Majestic Hotel last night. I just got off my Singapore Airlines flight from Milan, and thanks to my electronic boarding pass and carry-on only baggage, I was swiftly able to pass through immigration and security before rejoining the masses in the bustling Terminal 1. If you'd like to know the exact fare that I paid for this 35-minute flight, check out the description below. But before we go any further, a quick riddle. What do elegant Walmarts, cuddly Komodo dragons, and sponsored unbiased reviews have in common? Well, they don't exist. That's why this video is unsponsored and it won't include any exclusive access, staged photo shoots, or VVIP treatment that the average guest wouldn't experience for themselves, because that's not what I do. For sure though, this video will include honest commentary and candid video footage because this flight is 100% self-funded. If you enjoy, or appreciate, or just barely tolerate authentic travel content, please consider giving this channel a sub and checking out my Maptastic Patreon in the description below. Y'all are the sponsors of this video, so a big thanks in advance for stopping by. In case you recently saw my Air Europa video from Barcelona, the biggest difference today is there are actually people here. A whole lot of them. That being said, considering this trip was at the height of Western Europe's Airmageddon, this flight was pretty smooth. In fact, my entire trip across Europe was. I had a few hours to kill before my flight, so I headed up to what is becoming one of my favorite lounges in Europe, the Pau Casals VIP Lounge, designated for Schengen Zone flights. As we take a look around, let's talk a little bit about Vueling. Prior to me booking my flight with them, I knew just 3 things about Vueling. First, they were owned by IAG, British Airways' parent company. Secondly, they had their largest base in Barcelona. And thirdly, Barcelona at one time had the worst on-time statistics in all of Europe because of Vueling. Established in 2004, Vueling made its maiden flight on today's very route from Barcelona to Ibiza. Between 2004 and 2012, their expansion continued at a rapid clip as they began establishing secondary hubs, more like focus cities, in Madrid, Paris, Florence, Rome, Brussels, and more. In the early years, they were actually partly owned by JetBlue. Over time, Iberia acquired around a 45% stake in them. In 2012, IAG swooped in to buy the other 55%, and that is their history in a nutshell. They currently have 125 narrow-body Airbus aircraft in their fleet, with a further 17 on order. Interesting thing that I would point out is their massive presence in the Canary Islands, with 59 routes, not flights, routes originating in the Canaries. As we head to the gate, let me touch on what I teased during the opening. Despite how chaotic the gate area was, there was precisely one thing that was super organized: bag tag checking. Since many passengers have electronic boarding passes and completely bypass the check-in counters, Vueling applies those coveted carry-on bag tags at the gate. By default, Vueling allows only one personal item per person, something that is meant to be stowed under the seat in front of you. If you want to put something in the overhead bins, you must pay for it in advance. If you don't, you may need to pay €59, which you're warned about multiple times during the booking process. If your fare includes it, it will be displayed on your boarding pass. For this trip, I chose a fare bundle that included 25 kilos of checked baggage, which I didn't end up using, my full-size carry-on, and priority boarding. Considering how many people were in Group 1 boarding with me, it seems like local customers know very well how strict Vueling is with their policy. Let's take a quick look at today's flight stats. We would unfortunately be taking off around an hour late and then head up to a modest 19,000 feet for this 35-minute flight to Ibiza, landing 32 minutes behind schedule. Like I mentioned, there are loads of people with priority boarding, but it wasn't a problem to find space for my bag since I was just in the second row in an extra space seat. The extra space seats do deliver with around 32 to 33 inches of pitch, which would be plenty to stay comfortable for a few hours, let alone this 35-minute hop. The seats themselves were super slimline though, with comically tiny tray tables. Even if you aren't in the first boarding group though, make sure you're in line early or risk having your bag checked at the door, which the cabin crew swiftly did for around 20 bags which wouldn't fit in the cabin. Pushback came and we would begin our taxi to the other side of Terminal 1. Our route today would take us first to the northeast before turning and heading near due south. The spool up, which in typical low-cost carrier home base fashion began as we were rounding the corner, and takeoff are coming up next, with some beautiful views of Barcelona.
When the seatbelt sign is switched off, you may use larger electronic devices. Please be careful when opening the overhead lockers.
Por favor, permanezcan sentados con el cinturón de seguridad abrochado hasta que la señal de cinturones se apague. Les recomendamos mantener el cinturón de seguridad abrochado mientras estén sentados.
I hope you're not surprised to know that not much happened while we were in the air, spending all of 8 minutes at cruising altitude as we crossed over the southwest corner of Majorca. Service was offered on the flight, but rather than prepare the carts, the crew simply walked through the aisles a few times, motioning with the menus. I can't imagine that any hot food would have been available though. We would leave 19,000 feet and begin our descent into the arid island of Ibiza, with a range of turquoise shaded waters coming into view. And a quick taxi brought us to our very own jet bridge. Allow me to just mention that Vueling easily has the worst onboard music of any carrier on Earth, air choreo included. Bad enough that I'm not sure if it's supposed to be ironically bad or not. Feel free to check it out for yourself. They have their own Spotify channel. Flying by Salone was one of the gems that played around 14 times on my flight. Soon enough, we were let loose into the terminal, an airport terminal that kind of reminds me a lot of Cancun. Efficient, but a little bit tacky, a little bit scrappy. So as we head into the flip-flop score, what are we thinking? I mean, besides the fact that it was overpriced for how short of a flight it was fine. And I will add that surely no one forced me to fly to Ibiza in August, and that's why the fare was higher. Besides that music, I'd happily fly with them again, especially in a Space Plus seat. I really do hope that you enjoyed this quick trip report. If you did, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe so that you don't miss a beat. I'll see you next time at the Twiins Ibiza Resort.